All right, Dave, we are live here for the MDFL Week 5 recap show. Um, I've been complaining to Dave all day because I'm sick and can't play pickleball tonight, and then didn't even manage to get prep work done. So Dave's going to be driving this show pretty much by himself, and I'll be playing catch up as we go through. But Dave, if you want to start us off, not sure what game you want to roll with first because your
Yep.
screen might be mildly different.
Yep.
We can make
We'll
it
get
relaxing.
started. We'll get it started. We got week 5 on the MDFL going on. Our first week with buys and some injuries to deal with. So that kind of juggled things up. No doubleheaders, so we only got 16 games to go over. We'll kick them off. You got the Bengals in Houston up there. Of course you do. So
yeah, I want to start right there.
You're final and you're out of players. You're up by 164 points. Josh and his Texans, he's got one player left, Devin Lloyd. As much as I love Devin Lloyd, I don't think he's coming up with 164 points. So I think you're safe on this one. But I am still rooting for Devin Lloyd for other reasons later tonight. I'll get to that later. But anyways, easy game for you, I guess. What you put up? 381. That's a great point total this week. Looked at we had a lot of high point totals actually. A lot of guys in the 350, 50 plus range.
So, yeah, usually if score 381, you got a pretty good chance for the high score of the week. But as I look through, and we'll get to these later, I don't think it's going to hold. I think someone's going to pass me, and maybe even two guys out there that could easily catch me up, and maybe more than that. So we'll have to see as we go through. But yeah, I was pretty happy with the 381. Obviously, it's a brutal week for Josh, not just because he had to go against 381, but just a pretty poor performance from his team overall. You know, after having some pretty strong weeks, they really came back down to earth this week. So he's going to fall to 4-4. I'm sure he's not loving that situation right there. But
so, anyways, you're gonna move to 7-1. Yep. Still one of the top teams in the AFC and the MDFL.
Yeah, still sitting up there. We'll have to see if I'm not the number 1 seed. So we'll have to see what else happens here as we go through. In fact, let's jump right over to that.
How does that make you feel when you say you're not the number 1 seed?
A little bit sick to my stomach. I'm already sick, and now that makes me feel like throwing up.
I hear disappointment. That's what I hear.
Oh, it's in there. It's definitely in there.
So speaking of that number 1 seed, we got the Jags coming in at 7-0. Baltimore, Gavin at 1-6. Eric and his Jaguars, he's complete, but he's up by 44 players. Gavin's got 1 player left. He's got a defensive end. Normally, I would say it's Travion Walker, but he had wrist surgery this weekend, so I believe he went out. Gavin went out and got himself Dwayne Smoot, who will probably start. They haven't actually inactivated him tonight, but also a player that's on my roster also that I had to do some roster shuffling with also. And I was unsuccessful with that thanks to Shannon and his Vikings. So we can talk about that later, though. But anyways, it looks like Jacksonville's going to go to 8-0 here. Again, still a rough season for Gavin. I still think his team is going to be much better than that 1-7. Maybe he plays spoiler down the line. Saw that he posted on Slack that he's not trading. He's not selling yet. At least he doesn't like all the Nick Wise shit. Trader School of Trades heading his way. So Gavin's hanging on to him.
I hadn't even proposed him any trade offers until he posted that, and then I sent him some.
So, anyways.
But yeah, clearly some guys have been after Gibbs and Marv and some of these other young studs. And, Gavin knows enough to know not to trade your young studs. That's what you want to build around. But he does have some contracts here to get rid of. He's had a rough go, like you said. Even when he's had good weeks, he's had bad weeks. So, like, having to start Cooper Rush and hit 3.5 points, not having Lamar. These are the brutal things. He's got a good defensive end sitting there, but he's been injured all year with a pretty bad neck injury with Van Ginkel. So, 1-7 when you're in this division, especially, I think it's time to cut your losses. And Gav, you may not want to sell Gibbs, and I get that, but it's time to cut one of these guys and build for the future, man. This season's over.
So let's get to the Cleveland Indy game. This one is up for grabs. I like this game. Dan and his His Browns are coming in at 1-6. Jason at 2-5. Jason trying to snatch whatever win he can get to add to his career win total. Dan's up by 8 points. He's got one player left. Cornerback Jalen Watson. Jason and his Colts got one player left. Defensive end Kalafdis. Interesting thing about this, the average point total for Jalen Watson is 13.75. Kalafdis is averaging 20.75. You do the math, that's about 7 points, and there's about 8 points difference in this game right now.
Wow.
So if they hit their averages, this one could come down to stat correction come Thursday morning.
Yep. I mean, are either of these teams fighting for a playoff picture? I don't know. Maybe. Like if Jason goes 3-5, he'd have some hopes and dreams. 2-6 for Dan is a whole lot better than 1-7 and tied with Gavin. So we'll see what happens for these guys. Anytime you got a defensive end going, like I always say, anything could happen. You can score nothing, and Dan takes this home easily, or you drop a 40 burger on you, and Jason runs away with it. So it's definitely one to watch.
Uh-huh.
We've got your old squadron here.
Yep, my old stomping ground, Pittsburgh here. Getting some life out of Tennessee. Tennessee, if I go back and look at the schedule, I think he started like 0-3, and he's squared up that record to 3-4 now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking really good in this one. Justin's up by 3. He's got one player left. It's his coach, Andy Reid. That's not going to add a whole lot of points, maybe 7, maybe 10. Tennessee's got 3 players left. Mahomes, Etienne, and his offense left. Way too much firepower. I see Dustin and his Titans winning this one, going 4-4, and Justin falling to 6-2 on this one.
Yeah, big game. When you talk about long term, this kind of puts Dustin right there at the middle of the pack, and still very much,
very much alive. Yeah.
He's trailing Eric. It's going to be hard to catch 8-0 Eric, but certainly, wild card position. We could see Dustin back in it. Our former champ has had a little bit of a tough go since his championship run, but the team is putting it together, and some of these guys didn't even have very solid performances, and he's still going to get the win because he had really good defensive back play. Getting 26 points out of a CB and another 26 out of your safety, that's going to bode well for you. But then you got guys like Antoine Winfield and some of these other guys that you can expect that bigger weeks out of, and they didn't show up.
Yep, didn't show up.
So tough break for Justin, but it does look like he's going to fall here in this one. Here we go. All right, going over to Rich in the East.
Rich and Sean, I'm really liking this game.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Miami's up by 51, he's got 3 players left. He's up by 51, but his 3 left is a coach, a kicker, and a cornerback, Jordan Lewis. Sean and his Broncos down by 51, but he's got 5 players left. He's got some firepower left. And Marquise Brown, his kicker, also off his offensive line, and linebacker Bolton and McMillan as a cornerback. So he's got the potential there to overcome that 51 points. So that this will be a fun one to watch also.
Yeah, I think he's got a very, very real chance of it. And then those two would also be 4-4. Right there tied with Diller. Poor Rich, he's got Tuli Palatu started in for the first time all year, as you see here. Actually, it's not on your screen, but he hadn't started him all season. Last week he blows up for 67, puts him in the lineup, and he gets a goose egg. So that is brutal. It happened to me in another league, so I feel you, Rich. I started over some other options, and it bit me in the ass, and I lost that week too. So might be what happens to you here, my friend. But that's one to watch. That is definitely one coming down to it. All right, we got Buffalo. Can Jeremy finally win a game scoring 300-something points?
Well, again, we've been, I've been afraid of this Bills team all year long. He's got the horses to run there, but or maybe I should say he's got the Bills to run there.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, again, Jeremy's got a solid team here. He's got 341. He's up by 118 yet, and he's still got Aluakon to play yet tonight. Usually Aluakon's good for 20-plus points, every weekend. The Raiders, he's got 3 left: Kareem Hunt, Josh Hines-Allen, and cornerback McDuffie. Not going to get it done, not going to overcome that 118 plus Aluakon. So Jeremy's going to square off that record at 4-4, and Matt's going to be 2-6. And we'll talk about the Raiders in a little bit. That'll be Matt's going away party. as he turns over the keys to a new owner and Aaron, and at the end of this week 5, being tomorrow.
There you go. We'll see if Aaron goes out and gets himself a new punter, one that scores more than -2 points.
Yep.
That is brutal. You don't expect to have that happen, man. That is an ouchie. All right. Going over a big week for Joey. Taking down, what do we call Jared at this point? Drunken, angry Jared?
Yep. Joey's done. He's at 355. Another good week. For him, he's out of players. Jared and his Charger, he's got two players left. He's got Brian Thomas and a punter. Not going to be enough to overcome the 113 points. Mark this up for Joey. Joey's going to take a 5-3 lead, go to 5-3, and probably be the head of the AFC East division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for sure. Big week for Joe. Big statement. Solid score again for him. For Jared, he's started out real hot. Now he's going to end up losing 3 in a row if he drops this one, which he will. That's going to be 3 losses in a row for him, taking him also to 4-4. So we have got an absolute quagmire there with the 500 level teams. Props to Jared for starting AJ Barner, who blew it up for 31 points. It's not going to be enough for him, but I don't think I would have rolled AJ Barner out there, but what do I know? So good for that. All right.
Jets and Chiefs. This one is over. Braxton is out of players. Braxton's out of players, and he's down by 3 points. So I'll give this one to KC, even though he's got 2 players left, and Xavier Worthy and linebacker Twinkle. So Mike and his Chiefs going to get another victory, head out to 5-3. Braxton and his Jets going to fall to 2-6 here. So again, KC, Mike probably won't hit the 300-point mark, but still a good week to get a win for that. So anytime you can get a win and not score 300 points, you can thank the scheduling gods for that one.
That's right, man. But that's huge because that does put him solely, assuming Jared drops his, which, like you said, he will. He'll go 4-4. Mike will move to 5-3, and he will be in first place there in the West right now, get himself that division. So big game for him to get a nice break like that. All right, man. Ready to go over to the NFC?
Yep, let's roll into the NFC. Here's another one that I'm afraid of. Mike and his Packers sitting at 3-4. Again, he's got a solid team, solid roster there, putting up 355. He's still got 2 players left. He's up by 60 this weekend, and he hasn't even played his quarterback yet.
Yeah.
So he's got Mahomes and safety Andrew Wingard going. Flick and his Panthers got 2 players left. 2 cornerbacks, Tyson Campbell and Jalen Watson left. Not going to be enough to overcome the 60 points plus the power that the Packers have left. So, here's one that, Mike's probably going to be in that 380, 390 range very easily tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, any kind of a solid performance from Mahomes, and he's going to be flirting with 400. And, it is scary, man. We liked the dormant Mike. The dormant Mike Mead was my favorite version, but he's waking up. For Adam, he's talked about, his team's not really a contender. So maybe this loss further pushes him to try and make some moves to build to the future. I really think, I know that's on the back of his mind. If he gets some time to put some trades together, I think he's an approachable guy and loves to make a trade. So if you're looking to buy some pieces, even at 5-3, Adam might be selling. Let's see. He would be, because that 5-3, he's going to be in third in the NFC South.
Second or third in the division. Yeah.
Yeah. Depends what you do here. What do you got going on?
All right. I feel good, but I'm not feeling great. I'm up by 24. I got 1 player left, Devin Lloyd, of course. And Mike and his Bears, he's got 1 player left, and that's Travis Kelce. Obviously, we know that Kelce can always go off with Mahomes for 35 or 40 points. He's that type of a tight end. So hopefully I get my 20 plus from Devin Lloyd to be able to offset that. I like my chances. I just don't want Mahomes and Kelce to be going off tonight. So need a little bit of help on defensive end. Made the big trade with Shannon, and he stuck me with a guy who threw me up a goose egg. So Buyer
Your 9
beware.
points that you put on, though, it still dominated Mike's 5.5 plus 0.5. What is a 0.5 point? A quarterback hit? Yeah, so
Yeah,
half a point
neither
from
one
his
of us
running
had
back.
defensive ends show up for that game. So
No, that is brutal. Zach Bond back to doing Zach Bond things. 13 tackles. I'm sorry, 12 tackles and a sack. So great to see him performing. I know I'm happy about that. But Travis Kelce hasn't gone over 16.1 points this whole year. So I think you're going to be just fine, Dave. I think you're moving to 7-1.
but he is capable of it.
He is capable.
He is capable of
that guy.
So.
Yep. So yeah, you won't rest too easy until the second half. Then maybe you can kick back and have a good.
Yes. So.
All right, here we go. One of the other couple of the front runner teams right here battling it out.
Here we got
his way.
This one could I give it to Hayden. Hayden's up by 39. He's got 2 left. Wide receiver Brian Thomas, cornerback Jordan Lewis. Brent and his Saints, he's got 2 left. Travis Hunter and linebacker Bolton. I don't know as if that's going to be enough to offset what probably Brian Thomas will do. If he didn't have Brian Thomas going tonight, I'd probably give Brent a little bit more of a chance. But I do think that Hayden holds on here. And I think if Hayden had I didn't go back to that game. Where is it at on my screen? Hayden had the big 3 touchdowns from JT. So there was a JT sighting over there in Indianapolis, going off for 3 touchdowns. Even though they were small ones, they still racked up almost 40 points for him.
Yeah, no, man. JT looks like an absolute world beater again this year. That offense, just unbelievable, man. All they needed was Daniel Jones. Who thought?
Who would have thought?
They just continue to cook. They absolutely rolled the Raiders, making the Bears' victory last week seem a lot less significant. Barely squeaked one out, and then the Colts just blow them out of the water. But we had to play them in Las Vegas. So I'm riding on that.
Yeah, Hayden, you keep on thinking that JT is going to carry you all the way for victories all year long. I had him in my stable too, and he left me high and dry in the playoffs. So it'll happen.
It's a long season, man. But yeah, he's got to be feeling pretty good about what JT's doing while Derrick Henry's out here averaging 2 yards a carry until Lamar comes back. And then you got to figure that's going to be a get right moment for him. Well, it's been a weird year for Derrick Henry. He's had some real clunkers out there. 19 points this week was actually the second highest score of the season. So weird stuff going on. But he's going to get a win. He's going to move to 5-3. Brent's going to fall to 5-3, and they're going to be right there in that wild card, and yet still kind of within the divisional grasp. You winning is going to be big, for yourself, and then there in the north, Hayden will be trying to catch up to Jordan, which I think is our very next game. Yeah. And
this one, Detroit, Jordan's came in at 4-3. Tampa Bay sitting 2-5. Jordan's up by 38, and he has one. I shouldn't even say one player. He's got his offensive line left. Tampa Bay, he's got one player left, and Xavier Worthy. Not going to be enough to overcome the 38 points plus an offense. So I think Jordan's going to stay on top of that tough NFC North, at least for another week. And a tough break for Tampa and Dustin.
Yeah, it's going to come down to, as far as the division lead over there, those guys are neck and neck right now with Jordan and Hayden. And then Mike's going to be right behind him as well. But 5-3 and 5-3. Jordan's got the slight edge in the points for, and that's what's keeping him at number 1 spot in that division right now. But that's obviously wide open. And then you got Mike scrambling up from the 3rd place point. So that's going to be, again, the NFC North is going to be one of the fun divisions to watch all the way to the end here. All right, we got the resurgence of Dan, but
we got Washington and the Rams, and another good weekend for 326 points. Still a very good showing for him. Mm-hmm. Dan and his commies, Redskins, Commanders, whatever you want to call them, they're up by 40 with 326 points. 40 points down, and Scott and his Rams, he's got his kicker and Karlaftis left. As much as I like Karlaftis, I don't think he's coming up with 40 points or even 30. I don't think he'll get the 30 because he'll probably get 10 from the kicker. But this will be a tough loss for Scott and his Rams. So I see Dan taking this one and taking that next step to going to 5-3.
Yep, most likely. Karlaftis has had a 42-point game this year, so
He can.
can't sleep on him.
No.
They're going to be watching that one until the end because again, when you got a defensive end going, literally the last play of the game can get you 20 points. So that one is not going to be something that Dan can rest easy on until that final whistle blows. And if he gets a couple deep 50-yard field goals, yeah, that could certainly turn into a game. And Scott really needs it. Right, that's a game that he really can't afford to lose. It would put him pretty far down into the NFC West. He's at the bottom right now. Dropping another one and going to 2-6 is going to be really hard to come back from. But we'll see. See if he can pull it out tonight.
All right, here we got the Eagles and San Francisco. Shannon versus Matt. Eagles coming in at 3-4. San Francisco 4-3. And this one currently, Shannon's up by 71. He's got one player left in Aluakon. That's a good player to have when you have one player left. Matt's got three players left, coming on with Pacheco and defensive end Josh Hines Allen and a linebacker Tranquil. Not going to be enough to overcome that 71-point lead. So when this one is all said and done, they're probably both going to walk out of this one at 4-4.
Yeah, I think you're right. Some interesting lineup decisions by Shannon. I don't know that I necessarily disagree too heartily with them, but Woody Marks had a good week last week, but then comes in and despite Houston scoring 44 points, the guy only touched the ball 7 times and scored 5 for Shannon. Meanwhile, he's got Michael Carter, who, we kind of knew was going to take the reins there in Arizona. And then he's also got Darren Waller, who had a really good week 4 and comes back and scores another touchdown in week 5, and he's sitting there on the bench with them. So if he does somehow lose this one, he's probably going to be kicking himself a little bit for starting Woody Marks over those two guys. But if he escapes with like a 265-point win, a 270-point win, he needs to be very, very happy about that, keeping himself in that conversation there in the East.
So somebody's getting a cheap win out of this when people are losing and scoring 350 points. So enjoy it. So here's an interesting game to keep an eye on. Donnie and his Cowboys, they're up by 41 points. He's final, sitting at 322. Josh and his Seahawks sitting back. He's got 2 players left, wide receiver Marcus Brown and running back Etienne. He's got enough firepower there to get his 41 points. So this game is very much in play tonight, even with a 40-point difference.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying your pronunciations of these names.
Etienne.
Etienne and Marquise Brown.
It's all right. English is not my first language.
Sorry, bro. All good, man. But yeah, definitely 40 points from those two guys can happen really, really fast. Etienne is averaging 24 points himself. Brown is certainly a little bit more of a gamble, only 13 points on average. You just don't know what you're going to get from him. He's such a talented player, but he just doesn't seem to consistently perform. That's why he's only paying him $2.9 million, I guess. But he's rolling him out there because I think his options were kind of limited. There again, he could have started. I thought he had a guy Pittman. I guess not an amazing game. I remember him scoring a touchdown, so I thought he might have had more, but 16.5 points for him. Yeah, not bad. He can't kick himself too badly for that, but it's going to come down to the wire, and that's a huge game. When we talk about for Donnie leading the NFC East, Dan is obviously looking really good to get a win, going to 5-3. If he does drop this one, he's going to be 5-3 as well. I think he'll still have the points for tiebreaker, but that one is going to be locked up. Both those guys there at the top of that NFC East division.
Well, but I also want to add, if Donnie does hold on to this game and it goes to 6-2, we got a lot of teams in that 4-4, 5-3 range, and for him to be at 6-2, that's going to help going down.
Oh yeah.
We're almost halfway through the season right now, so regular season.
It goes so fast. But yeah, there you got another victim of Tuli Tuapalatu. With Josh starting him and rolling him out there, benching, maybe some other alternatives like he had Barnes go for 29 points. Trenton Simpson, hard to trust. I get it, but he had 10 tackles and a sack for 27 points. Those are guys he could have plugged in at linebacker. And if those guys, either one of them is in there, I think this game is over and an advantage for Josh. And he could really use it. You talk about all those guys in the middle. If he could go into 4-4, he'd be right there with Matt, in second place in the NFC West and still in the divisional run as well. 3-5, starting to get a little bit darker clouds. But this one's not over.
A little side note from this one here. Caleb and Donnie did a little brotherly trade in this one, and Donnie got Jermaine Pratt out of this deal, who ended up being a coach's bench. You're not getting on the airplane with us, and by the way, we're cutting you from the team. Interesting that those two just made the trade. You know, if it was going the other direction, I'd put up some red flags and start to question it. But Donnie did not get the better end of that deal. Maybe Caleb took advantage of him. I don't know what kind of inside information there was there, but somebody just got stuck with a obsolete linebacker.
Yeah, that's a brutal one too, man. The contract is not too bad, right? It's not too punchy at $1.8 million, so he can move on from him pretty easily. Or wait, is that that's what he's making in the AFC? I'm not sure.
In the NFC, hang on a second, I'll grab it.
I feel like it is. Oh my gosh, it's $12 million on 3 years.
12.9, yeah, and he's got 3 years left.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, so Donnie, read your bylaws, because there's a way you're pretty much hosed this year. You're going to pay, the penalty to drop him, but you can get out of that contract in the next 2 years because he's been officially released from his team. But you got to post it soon. So
actually, I think he's got 48 hours per the bylaws. I think he's got 48 hours, and let me pull the notes on when they officially cut him. 2 hours ago, I guess. Well, they posted it on my site 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
So he's got 48 hours getting cut. Still got a dead cap penalty for this year, but you get out of that second and third year.
Yeah. I wouldn't be waiting around to see where he lands. I'd be getting out of that contract as fast as I could. Definitely a drop candidate. Take your losses this year. It's going to suck. You're down $10 million this year, but at least you're saving it for future years because Jermaine Pratt looks to be a dead fish at this point. Anybody that gets left behind and doesn't get taken on a trip, that's trouble. All right, talking about dead cats, we got Caleb's game going on here. Sorry.
Yep, we got two guys going in opposite directions here. Yep. Caleb making that trade and getting rid of Pratt. Pretty smooth move for a team who's 0-7. Anyways, Giants, he's down by 7. He's got one player left in Connor, the safety. Jeff and his Cardinals, he's got 3 players left. His coach, he's got 4 players left.
Yeah.
His coach, punter, kicker, and a cornerback, McDuffie. Not a whole lot of firepower, but he's also got the 70 points, which is more than enough. Jeff's going to take this one. I'll roll into 6-2, and unfortunately, Caleb's going to fall to 0-8 with the season almost half over. So,
yeah, this was one of those guys I was looking at. I was like, oh man, he might catch me on the high score too. But now that I look at what his players are, not too much danger there. I think it's going to be me and Mike Mead battling it out for the high score this week, and the $25 that comes with it. But yeah, big win for Jeff. Obviously, keeping himself there in the front of his division. That's huge. He's going to move to, like you said, for Donnie, he's going to move to that 6-2 mark. That's a whole lot different than, the 4-4s and the 5-3s even. You've got that comfort level. So a big win for him as he continues to have a really good season and putting up really good scores. He's averaging 314. He's going to go over that this week, so he's going to be boosting up that average too. One of the top 5 scoring teams, and he might even be higher than that.
So he's up there, and I want to say I think Jeff was he a lottery draft pick team last year? So was he a bottom 3? If he wasn't bottom 3, he was at least bottom 4 or 5. So anyways, he's done a really good job at turning that franchise around and going to be 6-2 after this weekend.
Yeah, no, he was 4-13 last year. So
he's already surpassed the win total.
Yeah, this is a pleasant surprise.
50% more wins already.
Yep, there you go. He's on that Jason trajectory.
Yep.
Just doubling up. Love it.
So
all right, man.
All right, pull into transactions, and pull up your trades. We had pull up your trades for the last 7 days or something like that. We had a crazy 16 trades in the last week. So week 5, I'm not going to go through them. There's way too many to say, but there's some taxi snipes in there, some trades, some comments of what the hell, let's do it.
Yeah, I like that one.
A lot of stuff going on. It just kind of snowballed last week, and it was just like I mean, they were firing off one another. Love to see the participation of everybody in the league doing that and changing things up. I know that Mike and his Bears was very active, reshuffling his team. Because when I studied his team, what I'm going up against, and then after he did all those trades, it's like, man, I don't even know what I'm going up against now. So
yeah, that's for sure. Well, he picked up 2 first-round draft picks for himself. So that's huge. I think he already had a couple as well. So he's going to be looking really good for the draft next year. And then I thought he did overall as well, just picking up some young talent. He gave up Baker Mayfield, who's been a stud, Devin Bush, who's really good on a really good contract. He got himself Kyler, T. Higgins, Marvin Mims, Ruben Hippolyte, which I don't know if he'll ever be anything, but the Bears seem to like him, even though they don't play him. And then, multiple draft picks. It's good work by him, getting rid of some people. A little surprised to see him trade he traded T.J. Watt, right?
Yes, he got rid of T.J. Watt.
Yeah, so that's, to me, I get it. He was a high contract, but that's also a building piece that tough for me to part with guys like that. But
I kick the tires on T.J. Watt, but I've got him in some other leagues, and I always know that he's out for 2 to 4 games with a torn pec or something like that. He usually doesn't put up a full healthy season, but I think for the salary of $20+ million, I couldn't pull it. I just don't have the cap money to be able to do that. But
yeah, I thought he could have got a little more on that one. Honestly, trading with Dan, he got kind of a bunch of throwaway guys, 1-year contract guys to make the cap work for both of them. But then just got a first, a fourth, and a fifth. He also gave up DeAndre Swift in that trade. So I thought that was pretty friendly. Certainly Dan liked it, I think, because he's going for it this year. Mike's rebuilding, so it makes sense. But I think, I don't know. I get a feeling Dan might be hard to negotiate with, and he wanted to get that first. It's his own first as well. So obviously right now that looks to be a lottery pick. So that had to be, I'm sure, on his mind as well. He wanted to get his own first back as he goes to 1-7. That's a big one. But yeah, good fun trades. Love to see that activity. And we're not to the trade deadline yet, so keep them going.
The other big news we have for the week is we have an owner that contacted us, Matt and his Raiders, and was willing to either hang it out for the rest of the season, or gave us the right to find another owner. We took it to a league vote, bringing back Aaron, who was the original owner of the Raiders. And so I guess just like in the real life, they're always changing coaches, managers, ownership. Who knows what's going on over there in Oakland, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, wherever those Raiders are residing now. Starting tomorrow, Matt turns over the keys to Aaron Hargrove, and we'll have a new manager, new owner of the Raiders.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Got Matt / Aaron's team pulled up here. I honestly don't know. I didn't do the work again, but I wonder how many of these guys are pieces that Aaron put together. I know he had a lot of draft picks was his thing. He was selling off, getting those draft picks. So I do see some young talent on this team. But it'll be always interesting to see, after a season and a half out, what Aaron decides to do. This team is not really in contention this year, so could certainly be something that Aaron just blows it up again and starts from scratch again. But we know if there's one guy that can put in the work and will put in the work, it's him. So,
yep. And just a reminder, per the bylaws, all you hungry wolves out there, Aaron's not going to be able to make any trades for a week. So just back off. Aaron's probably going to want to come in and make his own trades. Probably going to have more patience for Aaron not making those trades than what everybody else is. So this team was a playoff team last year. So 2 years ago he was a lottery team pick. He had a lot of draft picks, had a good draft, and then left his team. And Matt took over, left the Bears, Mike and Matt, and took this team to win the AFC West and put them in the playoffs last year. So good job for Matt. We're going to miss you, and the rest of the league, just hang on because Aaron's coming back.
Hang on to your butts. I'll echo that. Matt's a great guy. Glad I got to meet him through this process, and I think it's really cool actually too that he took a look at this and said, "Man, I'm having fun, but I'm not the junkie that some of Some of us, I will put myself in the junkie category. I'm not the junkie for this, as some other guys are. So if we got somebody in that realm, let's bring them in. And obviously, Aaron is right there with the rest of us, being an absolute junkie for fantasy football. So kudos to him for kind of being the bigger man, I guess, and being willing to step aside. Thought that was pretty cool of him.
All right, you want to click over to the survivor pool first? Or you want to do the picks?
Yeah, we can do Survivor. I don't think. Oh yeah, we did have a couple drop on the.
Well,
first
first of all, the Rams came up losers this week. When we get to the survivor pool, I think all the teams picked the Rams. Cleveland Dan and Brent both picked the Rams to win this week, and their survivor pool came to an end. So.
Yeah. The ballsy choice, right? You got two NFC teams, two NFC West teams battling it out. You always got that divisional conflict. Like, should you pick teams that are, arch enemies like that? It could go either way. I thought the Rams made a really stupid decision to go for it on fourth down in that game. They didn't get it, obviously, and it cost Dan and Brent their spots here in the Survivor Series. And down to 3 we go.
Down to 3, playing for $250.
Yeah.
So, like Jordan said this week, you guys get it over with so we can start our second one. This time last year, I think we were probably on our third survivor pool at this time.
I think you're right, man. It went really quick.
So,
hopefully Mike and Jeff just get the hell out of my way. Let me get paid, and then we'll start a new one for you guys here.
Well, I'm waiting for you to get all ballsy and stick to your Panthers pick. You like to pick them every week in the pick-ems, but you haven't picked them in the survivor pool yet.
There they go again. I have picked Carolina in every single week, which makes me look smart when it happens. It didn't look so good last week when I was the only one to pick them away. I don't know what I was thinking. This was a brutal week. I mean,
yes,
we didn't have as many games because we entered into the buys now. But for our top scoring teams to only get 7 right, that's rough. That's a tough week.
That's 7 out of 16. We got one more game left, so the best may be only 50% right this week, which is really a low number.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I mean, got to think almost everybody's probably taking KCC, right? But they're at Jacksonville, so that could be another upset, and we could just have a really crappy week. Dave, obviously, you were on the struggle bus.
Yep.
Jeff Free was on the massive struggle bus with three right games. He got Detroit, which everybody got.
You got 3 games that the Rams, the Cardinals, and last night's Buffalo game that took everybody out.
Yeah, there were some brutal ones right there. I'm surprised. I can't dog the Survivor guys for too much because everybody took the Rams. And then the Arizona game, that is just an insane thing. They should not have lost that game. Heads should roll, dude. If Emery DeMarcado is on my team and I'm Gannon, I'm the coach, that guy is sitting the next game for sure, and he's running his ass off in practice. I saw the video. I think it was Gannon that did it. I couldn't tell for sure, but he kind of hits him. Like, DeMarcado's over on the sideline. A couple guys, looks like offensive linemen, are kind of consoling him. And coach comes over. You can tell he's hot. Like, he's walking fast. He's, he comes up to him, gets right in his face, and you definitely like, jawing at him. And then as he walks off, he hits him like in the chest. Now, I know it's football, and sometimes you do that, like, let's go, man. You hit guys in the shoulder pads. I'm not too cool with what he did there as far as smacking him in the chest like that. This is a professional athlete on national television. There might be some flack there. You want to talk about a easy way to lose a locker room, start abusing your players. Those guys will turn on you. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But that was a wild thing to watch was the whole event, him dropping the ball. I personally actually thought he still had control of it in the end zone, but that doesn't matter. So here we go. Brent's still got the number 1 spot. Dave, you're right there. Despite a tough week, you're right there behind him. Myself and Dan are 1 game behind you, and then it gets real tight again. Everybody here in the middle. Dustin's still trying to fight back, and actually starting to make some waves. I mean, he's made progress on multiple teams this week. We'll see. It'll be fascinating to see if he gets back into this thing after that tough week 2 decision. But yeah, overall, really, really, really hard week to predict these games. So we'll see what happens in the weeks to come. We'll see what happens tonight.
Yep. All
right, bub. Anything I'm forgetting?
Nope. That pretty much concludes MDFL Week 5. Still some games up in the air. A lot to shake out. Trade market's still open. We'll see if we're as active as what we were last week with the trades. I know that the NFC trade chatterbox was a little bit more active this past week. A lot of people just kicking tires and checking to see who's selling, who's buying right now.
I see. I'm just seeing Hayden's comment here that JT will carry him to victory all year long. I'm going to show that on the screen here. Look at this guy. Called his shot right there.
Well,
I'm predicting a JT injury next week. No, I hope not, man. Again, I hate seeing guys get hurt. But yeah, he went out. He made his claim. So yeah, Henry did it last year, he says. Now it's JT's turn.
Yep.
Well, good luck with that, sir.
All right. Well, I'll get some new power rankings out tomorrow morning after everything gets done and through the night. So we'll see how tonight shakes out.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being ready and prepared. At least one of us.
No problem.
You're the man. All right, guys. Good luck tonight.
See you guys.